program may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Discretion is advised. When you look into the face of darkness, it stares back at you. The question is, who's watching who? Welcome to the dark side. This is the Watchers Paranormal Podcast.
On this particular night, I had just gotten off the bus and was walking towards my place. And we had a front door at street level that was unlocked with a key. And then you had to walk up the stairs one flight. When you got to the top of the stairs, you had another door, and that was the entrance to the apartment. And again, you'd have to unlock that. So there was no way to get in or out of the front entrance unless you came through that front door at street level. So one night, after coming home from work, I got off the bus, and it was probably a 5-minute walk to the house. And I turned around a couple of times. I thought I saw someone walking behind me. So I looked to the side, and there's a fellow there who looked like he'd been living on the streets for a while. He would get up and start walking, then he'd sit down, and then he'd get up again and he'd start walking again. He was walking towards me, so I slowed down a little bit. Thought maybe he was going to ask me for some help or something. I mean, I had some money on me. I could definitely help him out. But he never approached me. As I'm getting close to the door, I get my keys out of my pocket, and suddenly he's right behind me. Kind of startled me for a second there, and I said, "Hey." He apologized right away for sneaking up on me. I said, "Well, listen, not a problem, man." I said, "Look, is there anything I can help you with?" He goes, "Yeah, look, I'm hungry." And I said, "Well, you know what, I can give you some money." He goes, "Do you have any food?" And I said, "I'm pretty sure I do. Let me, take a look upstairs." I said, "You're more than welcome to come in with me. You just wait here and I'll open the door." Not a problem. So I get the key into the door. I open the door, he comes up behind me, we both come up the stairs. As I'm getting close to the door to the apartment, I ask him if there's anything particular that he prefers, just for dietary reasons. And he says, "No, man, whatever you got." He says, "If you've got, sandwich or something and some juice or some fruit." I said, "Absolutely, I'll definitely go in and take a look." So I put the key in the door, opened the door, and I said to the ex at the time, "I've got a friend here that's come home with me here looking for some help. Can you, put something together for him, maybe a bag or something, some food, get him to, take that with him, or if he's more than welcome to eat it here." So she went in, looked in the kitchen, got some stuff together, and I was just talking to the fellow there at the door. He didn't give me his name. And it was a bit of a cool evening. It wasn't cold, but it was cool. We're talking early October here in Canada, so fall weather, a little windy, and I noticed he didn't have an appropriate jacket on for that time of the year. So I gave him the jacket I was wearing. I said, "Look, I've got a few jackets at home," and I said, "You're more than welcome to take it." He took the jacket, put it on right away. He thanked me for it. She came over and said, "I've got some sandwiches here and stuff, and some juice and a banana." So I gave it to the fellow, and he said, "Do you have any cold cuts?" And I said to him, "Well," I asked her, I said, "Is there any cold cuts?" She goes, "I think I might have some in the fridge." But I said, "I'll go take a look." And I said, "You know what, just hang tight there, I'll just, we'll chat here for a bit while she gets that set up for you. And then, let's see what happens here." He, made small talk with me, but it was something weird about him. He didn't tell me his name. But it was something weird about his eyes. To this day, I'll never forget that face, and the eyes especially. Nothing spooky or anything. Just, they were very deep. Like when you looked at him, you could see he was in a lot of pain. And, you felt the pain in his eyes. You were, just looking right through him. They say the eyes are the gateway to the soul. But if you looked into his eyes, you saw the pain and the sadness. And I felt really bad for the guy. But it was just something different about him. I can't quite put my finger on that. So she comes back and says, "You know what, I've got some cold cuts here." And I put them into a little baggie, and you know what, absolutely, take them with you. So she goes back inside. She sits on the couch, and I'm talking to the fella. But then he asked me for something. I can't remember today what it was. He asked me for something. I turned around, and in the 5 seconds it took me to ask her about it, I turned around, and this guy's not there anymore. It's like he just vanished into thin air. Now, just picture this. I would have heard him coming down the stairs, or rather going down the stairs. I would have heard the sound of his feet, or his boots rather, going down the stairs. That door at street level was very loud. It took no longer than 4 or 5 seconds to turn my face, ask a question, turn around, and this guy just disappeared. So I go running down the stairs, and she starts to call out, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "This guy's disappeared, he's gone." So down the stairs I go, I open the door, I look out, I'm standing on the sidewalk, and I'm looking in both directions, and there's nobody, not a soul. Okay, this is about 11:15 at night. There's not a soul. No one on the sidewalk, no one across the street. And there's no way this guy would have just disappeared like that. I would have heard him going down the stairs. I would have heard that door open. And by the time I ran downstairs, opened the door, and looked out, I would have seen him either on the sidewalk, walking in either direction, left or right, or crossing the road. There was nobody. Nobody. So I felt a chill go up my back. It was like, wow, what is this? So I went back upstairs, and she says, "What's going on?" And I said, "This guy just vanished." So I explained to her what happened, and she goes, "Wow." She goes, "Sometimes you never know. You might be entertaining angels unaware." And that kind of stuck with me. So I remember, hearing about that when I was in church, and, hearing people talk about that when I was younger. You never know who you're entertaining. But this guy looked really different, though. His eyes, just his demeanor, didn't tell me his name or anything. And he wasn't threatening at all. He was just like a real nice guy. But he just disappeared in the blink of an eye. Now, the story doesn't end there. I'm walking up the main street, and I see a couple of fellows, just walking around and whatnot, and so I walk by them, nothing, and I turn the corner to my right so I can take the next road up into my work there, and there's a fella standing there with his back turned, and he's just standing there. So as I'm walking by him, I catch with the corner of my eye a glimpse of this guy's face, and I just stopped. I turned around slowly, and this guy again has his back turned to me, and I thought, this is really strange, and don't tell me this is happening again. So I just walked really quick, started making my way towards the entrance of the hospital there. So anyway, I get there, I go in, I change, I do my shift. I'm trying not to think of anything, except for work. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, is this the same guy that I've been seeing for it's been almost 20 some odd years now. So anyway, so I finished my shift. It's dark outside now. Most shifts are 8 hours, but in this particular day, I was doing a 12-hour shift. So again, I had to walk down the main road there, 10-15 minute walk, and taking public transit home. So as I exit the building, I'm walking down the street. Everything seems normal. People are walking up and down. There's a lot of restaurants and shops lined in the street there. Cars going by. Everything seems normal. So I finally make my way down to the end of the road, and the bus terminal is down there. So I turn in, wait for my turn in line, look up at the clock. I still got a few minutes before the bus gets there. So I decide I'm going to use the bathroom really quick. So I go in to the terminal, I use the bathroom, I come out, and as I'm walking towards the line to wait for my turn to get on the bus there, all of a sudden, someone taps me on the back of my shoulder, and I ignored it at first. I thought, no, whatever. And I got tapped again, so I turn around. The fella's standing right behind me and said, I just wanted to say thank you. Like, I realized that this is the same guy. I kid you not, this is the same fella. He has not aged a year. Okay? When I saw this guy, my hair was down to my shoulders, okay? Now, I mean, so much time has gone by, okay? This guy tapped me on the shoulder and wanted to say thank you for everything. He looked at me, same look, same eyes. And I said to him, I said, hey man, so I grabbed his arm and I said, listen, you gotta tell me something. I need to know your name, where you're from, who you are. I said, I've seen you 3 times now in my life. He smiled at me. And I said, please, what is your name? I said, for the love of God, I said, this is really bothering me because I remember seeing you before. And he said, my name's Gabriel. And my whole body just, oh my God, like every hair was on end. Like the goosebumps. And I let go of his arm. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. He goes, no, that's all right. He said, my name's Gabriel. He says, I just wanted to say thank you. He says, you fed me that night. You gave me a coat. It was cold outside. He says, I'll never forget that. I just stood there speechless. I thought I was going to pass out. And then I said, well, hang on a second. I says, I saw you again when I was parked at a red light, stopped at a red light. He goes, yeah, I remember. I said, you haven't aged since I've seen you. What are you? What are you? He just smiled at me and he says, I'm a friend. And he just turned away and walked away. I was completely stunned. Again, I turned back. I'm waiting in line. And I was so curious, I thought, I'm going to turn around and see if he's still there. Can I still see this guy or has he disappeared again? So I turn around really slowly, but I still see him though, and he's walking down the platform. I thought, usually I see this guy and then he vanishes. I said, I can still see him. So I keep watching him and watching him. He goes right down to the end of the platform. And then he turns, and that's it, he's gone. I don't see him. I don't mean he vanished, like he just went out of my sight. I couldn't see him anymore. I finally got his name, and that just freaked me out. And that whole thing of the angel stuff and the name, Gabriel and stuff, and it just blew me away. And then once the bus got there, I got in, paid my fare, had a seat, and I was just dumbfounded. Wow, my jaw was just to the floor. I remember coming home and again, same thing. I couldn't believe what happened. So I got on Google and I started looking at certain things, and it kind of sounds like I've had an interaction with another worldly being, perhaps, but a good one. But it was amazing that this whole time had gone by and this guy had not aged, not even a year, a day. He looked the same as he did almost 30 years ago. Same face, same eyes, same hair, same everything. I mean, as far as the clothes, I'm not sure. I wasn't looking at his clothes, but I just couldn't believe what had just happened. Hope you've enjoyed tonight's story of the disappearing act.